August 11th, 2018. An auto rickshaw driver with an unknown man walks into an ATM in Kolhapur, Maharashtra. He's been told he's participating in a Bollywood film shoot. His job is to act out a scene of withdrawing money from an ATM. The camera starts recording. He inserts the card and enters a random PIN. Suddenly, the machine begins to whir, spitting out banknotes after banknotes. He keeps his cool, collects the cash, thinks he's nailing the take. But then something curious happens as a stranger approaches. The unknown man boards the chute, collects the cash, and walks away. Meanwhile, hundreds of other ordinary people were doing the exact same thing across 28 countries. And in just a few hours, 94 crore rupees would vanish from one of India's oldest banks. This is the story of how a group of hackers pulled off India's most genius bank heist, one that shook the entire financial system to its core. Hundreds of people will hit ATMs, innocent people will be arrested, and crores will be stolen not once but twice. The chase will lead investigators all the way to North Korea and to the most notorious hacker group on the planet. March 19th, 2018. This is Rahul. He works as an IT officer at Cosmos Cooperative Bank in Pune, Maharashtra. A good job with a steady salary and lives an average life just like any corporate employee in India. Rahul starts his day by checking his inbox and sees a new email. Looks official, maybe a compliance document from the internal team. The sender's address looks legitimate, the document seems important, so he clicks. While going through the documents, he realized it was nothing important, so he ignored it and continued as if nothing had happened. But little did he know that a single click, a completely ordinary click, had just given someone access to India's oldest bank. The Cosmos Cooperative Bank, 112 years old, the second largest cooperative bank in India with 140 branches and over 2 million customers. And now, invisible intruders were inside. Through Rahul's back door, hackers entered the network and started moving slowly, carefully, just like a predator stalking its prey before going in for the kill. They watched how employees worked, learned every single system, and mapped every server. They were looking for one thing, one weak point in the entire system, and after weeks of searching, they finally found what they were looking for: the ATM switch. Now, to really understand why the ATM switch was a big deal, you need to understand how ATMs actually work. When you insert your card and enter your PIN, the ATM sends a request to something called the ATM switch, a middleman between the ATM and the bank's core banking system, or CBS. The CBS is the brain. It knows your balance, your transaction history, and your limits. And based on all of that, money comes out or it doesn't. Simple and foolproof. So the hackers did something nobody had anticipated. They built a shadow switch, running silently alongside the real one, completely invisible to the bank. Security researchers would later call it the proxy switch. It had only one goal: intercept all the withdrawal requests. Don't let the CBS verify any data and approve all of them.
It was just like abracadabra. That within these 3 hours, you put these cards, put any PIN number, and you get money.
An infinite money glitch built inside the bank's own infrastructure. But there was one problem. ATMs have withdrawal limits. Each machine only dispenses so much per transaction. If they wanted to steal serious money, tens of crores, they needed something much bigger. Hundreds of cards, hundreds of ATMs, hundreds of people standing in front of those machines at the exact same moment all across the world, ready to withdraw the cash. They needed an army and a globally synchronized plan. Now that the proxy switch was ready, they were looking for someone very specific. Someone who had done this before. Someone who could take everything they had built digitally and execute it in the real world. And they found exactly that. On the dark web, there was a user who simply called himself Big Boss. He had the equipment to take stolen card data and turn it into physical cards that actually worked at real ATMs. And more importantly, he had the network. Connections across North America and beyond to recruit money mules and put them in a position anywhere in the world. The hackers sent him 9 years worth of stolen customer data from Cosmos Bank. Big Boss got to work. He cloned 450 cards and started recruiting across 28 countries. But he didn't just recruit random people. This was a tiered system. At the top, the handlers. Their job was to find, coordinate, and manage a cluster of mules in their region. Big Boss provided them with the cloned cards and a burner phone. Hard to trace, easy to ditch. Below them, the mules. These weren't professional criminals. They were ordinary working-class people who said yes to a job that paid well and asked no questions. They were the ones who would actually walk up to the ATM and pull the cash out. But there was a problem built into this structure. If the mules are the ones physically touching the money, what stops them from just walking away with it? The payout Big Boss promised was a fraction of what they were pulling out. Why share? Big Boss wasn't leaving anything to chance. Each handler got a laptop, every withdrawal tracked in real time, and nobody knew the full scale of the operation except Big Boss himself. A system of trust held together by surveillance, complex, layered, and held together by one assumption, that every single piece of it would work at the same time in 28 countries simultaneously. One problem anywhere in the chain, and it's done. But even with Big Boss and the mules in position, walking away with crores from one of India's biggest banks wasn't simple. It required a plan that exploited every weakness in the system, and the biggest weakness wasn't technical. It was timing. They noticed that on weekends, banks run on skeleton crews, fewer eyes on the systems, slower response times. In India, Saturday afternoons are practically dead. Half the staff is home, and the other half is counting down to closing time. But it wasn't just about India. They also knew that when it's Saturday in India, it's still Friday afternoon in New York, when Visa's US fraud team would already be winding down for the weekend. 2 time zones, 1 blind spot. So, the date was final. Saturday, August 11th, 2018. And the proxy switch would only be live for 3 hours. Within those 3 hours, the mules needed to hit as many ATMs as possible across 28 countries and vanish without a trace. The cards were cloned. The mules were in position. The proxy switch was ready. It was time to flip the switch. It is the morning of Saturday, August 11th, 2018. This was the day the hackers had been waiting for. Months of preparation, months of patience, and it was finally here. At Cosmos Bank headquarters in Pune, it's a quiet Saturday morning. Skeleton crew, half the staff at home. The employees and the stakeholders of this bank had absolutely no idea what was about to happen. Big Boss made sure every mule was in position, standing near ATMs across 28 countries waiting for the signal. And then, it was time. At exactly 3 p.m. IST, the proxy switch went live. Within seconds, ATMs across the world started approving withdrawals. The mules moved fast. The protocol was simple. Insert card, enter any PIN, grab the cash, repeat. Insert card, enter any PIN, grab the cash, repeat. Fast and coordinated. Some worked in teams, one withdrawing, one keeping watch. The cash got stuffed into backpacks, shopping bags, and jacket pockets. Back at Cosmos Bank in Pune, it was a quiet Saturday afternoon. The staff had no idea that their bank was getting robbed in broad daylight. Not the bank, not the police, not the government. Nobody had even the slightest hint. On the ground, the mules were hitting ATM after ATM and making sure all the machines are empty and leaving nothing behind. And during this hour, some regular Cosmos Bank customers started noticing something strange. Their account balances looked inflated, numbers that didn't add up, and some went to the nearest ATM and took the money. Accidental beneficiaries. Police would come looking for them later on. But on the other side of the world, at Visa's headquarters in the United States, the fraud detection systems were going crazy. Something was very, very wrong. Thousands of withdrawal requests were flooding in from Cosmos Bank cards, all at once, from everywhere. They were bleeding fast. Visa immediately alerted Cosmos Bank. The IT team at Cosmos jumped into the systems, checked everything, looked everywhere, and found almost nothing. Not a single abnormal activity, not one red flag. On their screens, all clear. What they didn't know was that the hackers were on the other side of the screen and monitoring every move in real time, making sure Cosmos Bank couldn't see a thing, keeping the proxy switch alive for as long as possible. The Visa team and the Cosmos team were completely confused. Nobody could understand what was happening. It took 2 hours and 13 minutes before they finally shut it all down. 2 hours and 13 minutes. The damage was catastrophic. 12,000 international visa withdrawals across 28 countries, 2,849 domestic RuPay transactions inside India, 80.5 crore rupees vanished. Every employee at Cosmos Bank was stunned. Nobody knew what had just happened. Within hours, the news was spreading like wildfire across Indian news channels. People started panicking about their savings. Questions were being raised about the safety of India's entire financial system. The mules had already disappeared, handing the cash to handlers, collecting their cut, and walking back into their normal lives as if nothing had happened. Cosmos Bank immediately filed a complaint with the cybercrime police, and Inspector General Brijesh Singh was put in charge of the investigation. Brijesh was sharp. He had a sense of who might be behind this sophisticated plan, and he was ready to find out. But just when he thought the worst was over, the hackers hit again. This time through SWIFT, the system banks used to send large sums of money internationally. Billions of dollars moved through SWIFT every single day. 2 days later, on Monday, August 13th, using stolen credentials, the attackers initiated 3 fraudulent wire transfers, total 13.92 crore rupees. Destination, ALM Trading Limited, an account at Hang Seng Bank in Hong Kong. By the time Cosmos realized what was happening, the money was already gone, laundered through shell companies and cryptocurrency exchanges scattered beyond recovery. Total damage, 94 crore rupees. Roughly $13.5 million, gone in less than 72 hours. Back in India, Inspector General Brijesh Singh had already started closing in. His team was tracking burner phone clusters moving together near ATM locations, cell tower data cross-referenced with toll booth cameras, CCTV footage pulled from every bank branch hid across India, and within weeks, the arrests began. But when they finally got the mules in the room, they discovered something nobody expected. Some of them knew exactly what they were doing. Professional criminals who had done this before. But others, they had absolutely no idea that they had just robbed a bank. In India, handlers had approached ordinary men with an unusual job offer.
They were told that they are going for a film shoot. This is kind of money heist, Yeah, these guys were told that they are about to participate in a film shoot and they are going to Kolhapur for that.
They were promised around $500 for a single day's work. For some of them, that was 4 months of wages, an offer too good to refuse. The handlers had been careful, but not careful enough. 18 suspects were arrested in India. The Bollywood extras, the handlers, the mules who genuinely believed they were on a film set, until police knocked on their doors. In 2019, Big Boss was arrested in the United States. His real name was Caleb Lamoureux, a 36-year-old Canadian who had built an entire career out of operations exactly like this one. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit money laundering, sentenced to 11 years and 8 months in federal prison, ordered to pay $30 million in restitution. But Lamoureux was just a contractor, a hired hand who was very good at his job. The real question was, who hired him? In February 2021, the FBI, the Secret Service, and the Department of Justice revealed who was actually behind the Cosmos Bank heist. 3 North Korean hackers, Park Jin-hyuk, John Chung-hyuk, and Kim Il, all members of the Lazarus Group, an elite cyber warfare unit operating directly under North Korea's military intelligence agency. North Korea is under some of the harshest economic sanctions on Earth. They can't trade openly, they can't access international banking, so they built something else entirely, an army of hackers trained to steal what their country can't earn. The Lazarus Group has attempted to steal over $1.2 billion from financial institutions worldwide. The money reportedly helps fund North Korea's nuclear weapons program. The 3 hackers charged in the Cosmos case are still at large, presumably back in Pyongyang, beyond the reach of any extradition treaty, beyond the reach of any courtroom. They will likely never face justice. They are still out there, still probing networks, still looking for the next bank that leaves a door open. Maybe they've already found one, and they're just waiting before they strike.